Pozdrav jednom svima i dobrodošli u još jednoj podcast epizodi o studijama i životu u inostranstvu. U današnjoj podcast epizodi govorimo o nešto malo sličnoj, ali opet drugačijoj temi, s obzirom da ćemo govoriti o putovanju, jer studiranje u inostranstvu i boravak u inostranstvu znači ujedno i putovati. A ja lično verujem da je putovanje investicija u nas samih, te zato sam za ovu podcast epizodu pozvao Moritza koji će govoriti o njegovom iskustvu i biznisu koji gradi koji se tiče putovanja. Hi Moritz, and thank you very much for being guest.
Hi, yeah, I'm very happy to be here actually.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming over, and I just gave introduction in the Serbian language that you're someone who has been traveling a lot in the past. It's interesting how we met, and actually you're building your business in the traveling industry, that it's related to travel and sustainability. So I invited you that we discuss how actually travel contributes to the development of one's and to tell us more about your experience. But before we dip into those questions, could you just give us a short introduction of yourself, who you are, what you're doing, where you're coming from, and what you have been doing in the past?
Yeah. So yeah, as told, I'm Moritz. I'm 26 years old, and traveling actually has been part of my life since I can remember, and even before that. So my parents already took me to Malaysia with 2 months old. I've always been traveling actually, and I've got to know the world already quite well. So I really love traveling, and actually now I'm a founder also in the tourism industry because I found my true passion in the whole tourism industry and bringing people to traveling, and basically finding joy in cultures and other people. So it's kind of also how we met in the end, but yeah.
Okay, and one of the reasons is why I found you as a very interesting guest is that you also have in your background one exchange semester during your high school or university studies. And could you refer that, because what I said in introduction actually, that studying and living abroad comes together hand in hand with being abroad and traveling. And could you just tell us how it happened actually? Where did you study exactly? Because you're German, right? Where did you study and where it was, and how did you come actually to this point that you want to do this?
Yeah, so actually I did an exchange year in my high school.
Okay.
And I've always been studying here in Berlin because I was born in Berlin too. And it's kind of a good story because when I was little, I always dreamed about going to Costa Rica. It's been always this dream country for me. And then when I got to high school, kind of this moment came by where I thought, okay, maybe I should go abroad. Maybe I should do something and study in another country. So I was thinking about, okay, normally people go to the United States or to Australia. And then I actually found out that you can go to Costa Rica and study there. And that's kind of where I thought, okay, I'm going to Costa Rica, definitely. And I told my parents about it, and they kind of joined in with that and approved it for me. And then I spent actually more than a year studying in Costa Rica, and it actually defined the person I am right now, and my business right now. Everything I do is because of that year abroad, actually. Everything I learned there and saw there, and everything that inspired me is due to that, actually.
Okay, and then if it was in high school, it means that you were underage, right? You were younger than 18 years old.
16 years old, actually.
Okay, so then, and when you said that usually people, and I know that for many Germans this is common, that people go to Australia also, like my study friends that I study with come from Germany, also some of my colleagues, he went to Australia, and I know that Australia is a attractive destination for Germans, and then you chose Costa Rica. So how did you feel actually that Costa Rica is something that you would like, it's a country where you would like to go, and how this decision process was for you, that you felt within you, okay, I'm 16 years old, I feel like I want something and it's that. So how it was for you that you became aware, and then till the moment you said, you know what, mom and dad, I want to go to Costa Rica. So can you recall how it happened for you?
Well, the decision about Costa Rica was because of my preschool, actually, because we did, in 2006, there was this World Cup here in Germany.
Yes.
And I remember that all classes of the school, they got to choose a country to represent during the World Cup, and do this event where you kind of try to decorate your room or the classroom in this specific country's culture. And we as a class had Costa Rica as a country. and that was my first contact point with the country itself. That it's very green and a lot of tropics and plants and stuff like that, and I kind of really fell in love with the country itself. So that's why I always told my parents, okay, we need to go to Costa Rica someday. I really want to go there, but we never went. So it's always been like other countries, because normally Costa Rica is not the go-to country where you could go.
But very safe, I would say, right?
Yeah, but it's safe actually, but still, it's very small as a country. So normally people don't really choose it as their primary go-to country. And then when I got to high school, and later on, obviously in high school, there was this time where I kind of thought about, okay, maybe I should go abroad, maybe should do something in another country, study in another country, because I was looking for something different and really wanted to go abroad somehow. And then there was this idea to, there's like this sailing ship where you can actually join a sailing ship and kind of travel around the world with a boat and learn sailing by it, and also have school on board. So that was very interesting for me, because my family had a sightseeing cruise business here in Berlin. So I was always connected to sailing and boats and all that stuff. But after, I was kind of thought, well, maybe I should look into it more and see, okay, what other options are there? How could you go abroad? And that was where I really kind of found out, okay, there's so many options to go abroad actually. So many companies offering you services to go abroad, of course, but also like specific school projects. So then I kind of got to Costa Rica and saw that Costa Rica is an option to go there. And then it was from there on, I saw it the first time, it was clear for me that I would never go to the United States or Australia. I only want to go to Costa Rica.
Okay, so you've been determined.
Yeah, it was very clear for me, and from there on, I didn't really thought about the consequences, or maybe that the country could be unsafe. I just knew that I wanted to go there, and it was like deep enrooted in my inner self that it has to be part of my life. So I kind of just chose it.
So cool to hear about this experience, especially when I think now, like thinking that you were a 16-year-old boy actually, like, and that you dare actually to fly, to go to completely another country, to another part of the world, being brave actually, and dare to do that. Like, I'm very not scared, like, of, okay, I guess you will be speaking in Spanish, right? Not English, or maybe English. So very not scared of not knowing or having doubt of like, is English or Spanish enough? Will I pass the exams? And how was your year abroad, right? Or more than a year was for you?
It was like this, I think that I got nervous once I got on the plane actually. That was like the moment for me where I kind of realized, okay, now you're going actually more than a year abroad, and
and alone, right? By yourself.
Yeah, and it was alone, and I was that was for me the moment where I realized, okay, it's getting real now, so it's very serious. It's not just a journey, but still kind of, because you recall that for a 16-year-old boy, it's kind of a very 16-year-old boy, it's kind of a very bold thing to do at this age. And for me, it was maybe, of course, because I've traveled already a lot. My parents always had a great focus on getting me, or like part of my education was always kind of this part where they try to connect me with other cultures, other people, to get like a better perspective of the world, and general overview that it's not only Germany that there is, but there are other cultures, other people, other ways of seeing the world itself. So that was kind of maybe a point where it was easier for me to kind of take the decision to go to a country that is very small and very far away and not really known by people. But for me, yeah, as I said, it was already clear. So I knew that I wanted to do it. And now realizing, looking back to it, I think it was my kind of destiny to get there. And of course, yeah, once I got there, it was a lot of struggles too. So you had to learn the language itself, because I had Spanish.
Did you learn Spanish there?
I had Spanish in my school actually, but one thing you realize once you go abroad is that actually school language is not the real language. So I thought I was good in Spanish class actually. I was a good Spanish student, but yeah, I got there and I was like, I don't know nothing about the language. So it was everything was different. So I actually started talking English most of the times to the people who knew English, but most of them
you need
just
to speak
spoke
Spanish,
and that's kind of how I started learning it. And well, I met my now partner actually there, and he also kind of taught me Spanish more with more effort in it. So that's why I learned it quite well, and now I'm speaking fluently. So, and I even speak it better than German right now. So it's kind of interesting. It's like always this language.
Oh wow, that's really interesting to hear. And especially, I mean, not only the language, but also the whole experience that actually shaped you into the person you are. And you said yourself, like, how much it contributed to your desires and the direction of your life. And being 16 years old and just deciding, okay, and being determined, it tells a lot about your personality. And just, I completely relate to that when you said, okay, now you're in plane alone and your mom and dad just walked you to the airport, you passed through security, whatever. Now you're alone. And this is, I would say, also the moment when you realize, okay, it's getting wild, because it's the first moment being alone with your thoughts, feelings, and then expectations, excitement, but also fear. So this is, I would say, also the moment when you realize. So it's really great and interesting to hear such a kind of experience being at such a young age. And what you would say that it's the biggest benefit actually of that year abroad, that you found, okay, first of all, you were very young, but also you said that it gave many things. So what would you say that are the biggest benefits actually of that year being abroad actually after you came back to Berlin?
So of course it's always something that defines your life somehow. So you'll get really independent as a person, and normally parents can approve that, of course, because I've spoken to many parents actually who sent their kids also abroad, and they all told me that just calling like 3 months into the process, they already noticed the change of their kid and the independence that they get just by being on their own actually. And for me, of course, that was a big thing, but I was already very independent with 16, so that's one of the reasons why I wasn't that afraid to go there. But as I said in the beginning, actually everything I do right now
is connected to that
is connected to my stay abroad with Costa Rica, because Costa Rica is like one of the biggest examples in sustainable tourism that there is. So that's kind of how I got into sustainable tourism. Then the whole nature, I was always in love with nature and people and true culture. So everything, like all that stuff you can find there. It's like very, very biodiverse country with very friendly people, a lot of culture. So I really fell in love with the country itself, and it inspired my way of thinking right now as I approach my tourism business. And I also found my partner there, of course, so and we're still together, and that's kind of also another big thing right now. And he's trying to move to Berlin right now at this point.
And you're visiting now for
Christmas.
I'm
also visiting all the time to Costa Rica. I've actually been part of his studies too, because he's studying architecture, and normally when I go there, it's like I try to stay like around about 2 months or 3 months. And when I'm there, of course, well, now he's just doing his thesis, but before that I actually joined his studies and joined their classes, and kind of I could say that I could study architecture too right now, because I've been part of so many classes, so I actually know a lot of stuff about architecture now too. So that has been very interesting. So you could kind of say that I spent my high school year in Costa Rica, but I also spent more than a year, if you summarize it, more than a year studying architecture too, in the university there.
So you also got a bit of a different background, and then you've seen, okay, what interests you more, and then what it contributes to your knowledge in a broader spectrum.
Exactly.
And one thing while you were speaking, I got on my mind, you said, I always try to stay 1 to 3 months. Is this like, okay, as being a European, and then you go to Latin America, and then you have, I guess, like, I read about your journey that you had beginning of this or middle of year, about the passport that you had, and also the things that you needed to deal with, your travel to Asia. But also my question refers to the, like, as an European, do you have some visa limitations or visa bureaucracy or visa things that you need to do, or limitations to stay or whatever, as being European going to Latin America?
Of course, yeah, but normally they're quite relaxed when it comes to visa limitations. In Costa Rica, for example, we have like 90 days, so it's around about 3 months,
Yes.
which I normally try to use as much as I can.
Yeah.
Well, Costa Rica is very easy because you can just go into another country like Panama or Nicaragua, which are the neighbor countries, and then the same day you can just go back and you have 90 days of visa just free of time again.
Okay.
So it's very easy. But in 2017, I also traveled from the south point of Chile up to Canada, actually.
Oh, wow.
I did the whole west coast with a friend of mine. And there we also, of course, visited a lot of South American countries. And it was very easy, actually. Normally, we didn't have any issue with it. Normally, as a European, you can just go there without any pre-registration or
so not a big hassle in advance to take care of.
It's easier than many other countries, I would say.
Okay. One of the reasons why I ask you this is because you're German, you grew up in Berlin, you studied at German university, you have a German passport, you have German citizenship, and you speak German language as your mother tongue. And when I record podcasts with international people living here, including myself, many things like Germany is part of EU and one of the leading countries of European Union. Then many people who come here faced with many bureaucracy issues, many challenges, many things that we need to solve in order to be here, and also learning the language, adapting to the culture, getting to know the German rules. You had it all. You had it all in terms that you didn't need to take care of this at all because you speak the language, you don't need to take care of bureaucracy and so on. And still, there was a desire within you that you still go out of the country destination, that it's a destination of many people who come from other countries. So how do you see this? Because before I moved abroad, I thought that people in Spain, people in Portugal, people in, I don't know, France or Germany, they don't have desire to see more, to see or to get to know more. Just it was my wrong, I would say, perception or wrong, just it's not true. It's just the way I grew up in Serbia, and then I thought, okay, I had this, but I thought it was unique, that no one else has it. Then when I met friends who come from Germany, I said, okay, so he comes or she comes from big city in Germany and she still wants to study in Portugal. Why is that? So can you relate, okay, as German, what actually was your desire that was attracting you, exactly the right trigger to experience and have such a kind of experience?
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult question, of course. But well, in my own opinion, I was always kind of very drawn to countries that are very far away. So, of course, if you grow up in the European Union or in a country like Germany, like with open borders, you can always go to other countries like France or Poland or Denmark. So it's very easy for us to just go there and go for a day, go for a weekend, and then just go back. So of course, it's like this privilege that you kind of already grow up with this, this knowing that there are no borders to you. So I would say that this is kind of one of the reasons that normally, it's in my opinion too, that going to France, for example, or going to Austria or Switzerland, it's like, even if it's far away, like it's still far away from Berlin, of course, but you kind of don't get the feeling that it's far away. It's like still for you, it's very nearby because you have this open border, and you can even go there by car, for example. So
or you can stay unlimited time. Or
exactly. You can even stay unlimited time. So it's kind of the same. Obviously, it's not the same, but going into your neighborhood, of your city neighborhood, for example. So that's why I would say that I can say, thinking about my friends, for example, that most of them also try to fly somewhere that is kind of far away, because only then it feels like this real adventure, like this real getting to know another culture or another part of the world. Because maybe it's even because the European Union itself feels like a union in this end. So you feel like being part of it, so you feel already like at home if you go to Austria or Switzerland, as I said. It's not that different to living in Germany in this case. But when you go to the United States or Australia or like Asia, for example, or Latin America, it's like very, very different in every aspect, culture, structures, infrastructure, everything. So I think that is the one key thing that attracts also tourists, for example, but also was one point for me that this tropical feeling, this tropical jungle, for example, these beaches, this wholly different kind of thinking, culture.
Exotic.
Yeah, this exotic feeling, that was kind of my inspiration in it, and that was something I wanted to see. And especially when it comes to the animal kingdom of the country. So I'm always looking for animals actually when I travel a lot. So that was also one of the key points for me why I wanted to go there, because I knew that the country itself, even though it's very, very small and small, it's so full of different species of animals you couldn't even see in any other country in the world. So that was very inspiring for me. And
so basically this excitement about unfamiliar and possibility to see more and further than actually what you used to. I would say that youth desire that was a trigger. So you stayed there basically, and you came back to Berlin and you finished your high school, and then was this also the trigger how you decided to go to tourism industry? Because you said it yourself that this kind of travel and stay abroad and everything you do today is connected somehow to Costa Rica and your semester abroad. And this is actually how we met, because then you started your own thing actually and building your own business that is in tourism. And then would you say that this was the trigger also to start your studies here in Berlin in tourism, or there was also predisposition for you or desire even when you started traveling with your parents since young age, and then you thought, okay, this would be a cool thing?
So actually in my case it was because in this specific time frame, and my family still had this tourism related business, a family business here in Berlin, doing sightseeing cruises on the Spree, for example. And so I've always been part of that company too, of course. So I've always been working in tourism. I've known tourism from traveling a lot, but I also knew already the business side of it. Getting to work in a tourism related company, getting to know tourists itself, how they behave and everything. So that was kind of one of my core visions, of course. I already knew, okay, maybe someday I will be the leader of that company together with my brother, for example. But that was kind of one of the ideas behind it, to study tourism in the end. But still, I was, when I finished my studies in high school, I was kind of uncertain at this point still, because I knew that I'm very creative. I love designing. Architecture was one of my second way to go, or to study actually. But just thinking about it and thinking about the company, of course, too, I said to myself that no, maybe I should start studying tourism. And I did actually. Then I got into studying tourism. But in 2019, we sold the family business before the pandemic, and I finished my studies in 2021. So that was kind of the point where I told myself, okay, now you're kind of just getting out of the pandemic. The whole industry the whole tourism industry was just collapsed due to the whole pandemic actually. So now it's considered a very uncertain market, very unstable and everything. So a lot of people that kind of joined another industry because of that, because they don't really believe in tourism anymore. So it was really a moment for me where I started. As I said, I already knew that I wanted to found a company. It was always part of my spirit to be a leader and do something for society, build something myself. So I just did that actually. I just threw myself in, and that's how we started to meet, because I got into the startup incubator and just figured out a lot about the startup industry itself. And then I got to a point where, because all this starting of the company, it was not tourism related, it was actually just startup related, trying to build like a booking platform, a marketplace for services somehow. But I didn't really felt the passion in it. I didn't really felt like this vision in it, or that it's something that I really want to pursue my whole life. So that's kind of was the point where I started to think about really deeply about my passion. What have I been doing my whole life. I was thinking about my time in Costa Rica, of course, a lot. What has been moments that inspired me during my life? Where do I see issues at this point? That is kind of how I got back to tourism and back to traveling, because I knew, okay, traveling has always been part of my life. And not only because I like traveling, but also from the business side of it. And I just love the cultural exchange and learning languages, of course, and speaking to other people. So that's kind of where I found my way into my current business model and business idea itself. And ever since I did that, like really focusing on what my true passion is, that is where I kind of found the happiness in it and the true motivation in it. That even if you have bad moments, which are all like they are always going to be there, it's like this one thing that still motivates you to keep going.
Yes.
And that's why normally people always tell me that too, that when I pitch or just tell people about the vision I have for tourism, they can see it and they can connect my passion behind it with the company itself.
Yes.
And I see that as very valuable, actually, because only a very few companies can show that, or very few founders can really connect their passion to their company itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have been following you on social media, and then you shared also many interesting events that are happening in different cities all over the world. And at one point you described about Exit Festival in Serbia that is quite famous internationally.
Yeah.
And then we were chatting back that time. So can you tell us what exactly you're doing nowadays, and tell us more about Needs and
Sure.
what it is and what exactly you're doing?
So yeah, Needs Experiences actually is a booking platform, if you look at it from a simple perspective. But the true vision behind it is not to just create another booking platform for experiences. So we are focused a lot about experiences and activities, so the things you do when you're in a country or in a new region. But for me, it's really about the true meaning behind experiences and moments you share. Because there's so much value in traveling, actually. Traveling can really define the way you live, can inspire you, because just to give an example,
Yes.
Most people, when they finish their high school year, especially here in Germany, they don't know what to do with their life. So they're kind of very lost. You have so much study opportunities here in Germany, over 10,000 career choices you could choose from. So it's like this whole overload of opportunity, actually. And normally students don't really know what to do and what their true passion is. So what do they do in that moment? They normally travel. They actually, all of them, always decide to travel the world and see what inspires them, maybe what interests them. Some of them stay in another country, some of them get back and then start working again. So everyone I know, they all, after high school, started traveling. Just because of that feeling that when you're lost, you kind of need to go somewhere, need to see new things and get inspired. So, and actually finding that moment of connection is one of the main reasons why people travel in the end. But of course, it's a psychological thing. So normally we don't think about that, or we don't realize that. But most of the times it's this specific moments, at this sunrise where you've been, I don't know, all of a sudden that it's like this special moment you always remember through your whole life.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about these moments very deeply, and I think that at this point the tourism industry is lacking a lot of meaning in a way. So that's why we focus as a booking platform on creating true meaning. We really want to create meaningful experiences. And with meaningful, I mean, of course, there's a traveler side. We want to be very inspiring for you, really give you a chance to transform yourself, be very transformative in the things you do. But we also want to, the tourism we create as a company, we want it to be transformative for the destination too. So that's where the sustainable part comes in. My inspiration I got from Costa Rica, living there, trying to create a product that is sustainable in core, but really impactful for the locals, of course, in the region, the environment itself. But I don't really want to focus on that. I just want it to be part of it, that it's kind of, from the root on, it's a sustainable product that focuses on creating the most meaningful experiences and moments for you as a person, so you can really cherish moments and memories with your family after, or just during your life. Remember that, and that is exactly the experiences we look for, and we offer on our booking platform to our customers.
Okay.
Exactly.
See.
Yeah.
Wow, great. And so interesting to hear about this. And also I can notice the passion you're talking about this and how deep you went into thinking and seeing actually what's unique the way you offer, and also realizing that experiences during travel is something that connects people and also brings memories and keeps you actually attached to some place because of people, place, experience you had at that place, and also making it in a sustainable way. And also this comes like from your past and being 16-year-old guy and then going to like another country, another world, and then seeing something and you build something today. It's like really amazing to hear about that. And also another point while you're talking, thank you very much for pointing out the German educational system maybe, or something that I was amazed, astonished, like when I moved abroad and I met some of my classmates that come from Germany, and then I asked them what they did after their studies or after their high school, and almost, I would say in 80% of the cases, my German study friends, they said that I had a gap year in XYZ country.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also when I'm nowadays listening to easy podcasts, for example, or meeting people who are German and then like listening about Germans who live in Berlin, and when they said, okay, what was the first thing they have done after high school, it's traveling and doing a gap year, which to me back in 2018 was unimaginable, thinking like, why would I waste a year of my life not studying or not learning or whatever, which back then was traveling. It's not equal to learning or improving or whatever, like getting to know who you are as a person. And I would say in the German system, it's like really that this is highly like encouraged, and it's not seen as a, okay, he was not good enough to start her studies this year or whatever. Also, what I find similarities with Italian system, gap year just doesn't exist. Like, are you crazy to do a gap year? What I'm gonna be putting on my CV? What are companies gonna be thinking about? And you give completely another perspective that actually a gap year is highly encouraged. And also some of my friends here in Berlin who are German by their origins is like that okay, I studied 3 years, I finished my bachelor degree, and before starting my master or before I start working, I want to do a gap year and I want to go to XYZ country and do a gap year. And to me, they thought, yeah, that's amazing. It's great that you have this kind of mindset, and I find it really nice. And this is actually when people discover what they want. And so that's why I refer that traveling, it's also investment in ourselves. Do you agree with that, or you have a different perception? And what travel actually contributes to the self-development, you would say?
Totally, yeah, I would totally agree to that. I think traveling is one of the best things you can do to really discover who you are as a person. And that is kind of, just to get back to what we've been talking about, most of the people who finish their studies, like specifically high school, it's okay in that age. Of course, you're like 16, 17, maybe 18 years old.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's okay to not know really what you want to do, because you have to say the educational system itself is kind of focused on just getting you ready for real life, but it's not really focused on getting you ready to who you want to be as a person and what do you want to contribute on for society in the end. That is something you need to figure out yourself once you get out of the university and or the high school in this case. And most of the people, either they try to travel and kind of clear their mind and get inspired, or they just throw themselves in some kind of career which they normally stick to. But what I really want to ask normally is that people really need to ask themselves if they are really working in something that they are passionate about, that speaks about them, that speaks about their characteristics, their own way of thinking of life. And most of the times it's not really there. And it's one of the core reasons why people are kind of getting demotivated at work and kind of, yeah, just like this typical work ethic that, okay, now it's Monday again, I have to work again, I have to do my job, And it's so easy because normally you just have to focus truly on what you want to accomplish and what you think is important for life and stick to that. And traveling is actually one way to find that specific inspiration, because normally just by going into another country and exposing yourself to new perspectives and new risks and getting you out of that comfort zone you have right here of maybe a stable income or this perspective your parents told you about that you need to have that specific life. Traveling gets you out of that, and especially when you travel alone or just as a couple, it's even stronger then, and you start to getting to know new people, other cultures. As I said, some of them even stay in the country and just live there from now on. But most of the times when you get back with a new perspective of your own life, and you kind of really get closer to what you truly love and what truly inspires you. And isn't there anything better in life to have that with you, to do something that really inspires you? Because I mean, what is it worth in the end when you're 60 or 70 years old and you have like this whole career, but if you look back to it and it's not something that inspires you to tell people about, then what have you been doing like through that whole time frame? Even though maybe you have raised a lot of money or stuff like that, but when it comes to the end, it's all about moments and
experiences and the person you became
and your personal growth and how you contributed to society in the end. So that is very important. Or it's like the most important thing, because it's the only thing you're going to remember in the end, and the only thing that brings value. So and in my perspective, traveling is the only thing that can truly bring you to that clear state of mind on what you want to do with your life. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You gave so many nice advices here, and thank you also for pointing out that that is normal to not be knowing what you want to do after high school. I would say even like when you graduate, not knowing like exactly which field you want to go, it's also normal. Like, you know the area that you studied, and you know that if you're enough passionate about that and so on. But when it comes to profession, I also agree that there is also a bit of a lack of clarity what exactly you want to do. And also what I find nice is also like when you travel and when you're out of your daily life, like it helps you to see what's really important to you. And also that path, that travel helps you to see what you want to be doing and what's your next step once you're out of your routine, out of daily life. And is this also the, let's say, recipe how to find passion in life? Let's say that here is a student or an undergraduate want to start masters abroad, and then he or she is asking herself, okay, but am I really passionate about this? Is this like the field I wanted to study or I want to get deeper into? Like, would you say that also traveling and getting out of the daily routine, it's also a recipe for getting to know what your really passion is about, or?
Yeah, definitely, because I can tell that from my own experience actually that normally you shouldn't accept the first thinking of yours that you found your true passion, because finding your passion is like, you really have to go deep into your own experiences of life, your own way of thinking. It's a very long process, and it's not something you discover like from one day to another. And even though you think that you may have discovered like your passion because it's something that you really like, it could be still something that maybe in 1 year working on it, or when things get bad, you kind of lose that passion for it. And that is one of the indicators that it has not been like, you've been on the right direction, but you haven't dig deep enough into your own consciousness and your own way of thinking and your own experiences. Because normally when you want to find your passion, you really need to go back into your life and look back on your own life experiences and really dig deep into these experiences and what inspired you in these experiences and why you had maybe some of these experiences. And once you do that, most of the times these are travel experiences actually. Most of the times it's moments you had with your family, going abroad or into another region,
meeting
for example.
People.
Yeah. And most of the times, once you find your true passion, it's very curious. I had that, and I've been, other people told me too, that you kind of reflect back and you start realizing that, wow, okay, there have been moments in my life that kind of guided me directly to where I am at this point. So moments that didn't have any meaning at this time, in this time, now have a true meaning because now I understand why I had these moments. So it's kind of very interesting. For me, it was like I had so many moments in my past which I didn't really understand. And right
But
now,
have meaning.
yeah,
now when
right
you
now
look back.
looking back to it, I now get a meaning to it. I know why these specific things happened and they shaped who I am at this point.
Wow.
And
very
they
good one.
showed me my true way to my own true passion. And of course, I would not like to say that I found my passion because I don't want to trust it still. Because I know that it's a long process. You have to dig deeper and deeper all the time. But still, I'm on the right track because, as you said, people can notice that you have like a very deep passion for something just by the way you talk about it, and that is all inspired. In my case, it is inspired by traveling.
Yes.
Yeah, because in the end, the things you desire most in life are exactly where your comfort zone ends. So you really have to step out of it to really discover yourself,
Seek discomfort and grow.
and gain what you truly want in life. So because normally nothing is handed to you by a silver platter. Normally you have to get it yourself.
Yeah.
And
That exactly. Oh, thank you so much. Like you are really giving nice advices and also in such interesting way from your perspective. And this was exactly my point when I asked you the question regarding being German, speaking German perfectly, native level, and you still seek out for something like that. It's out of the country, out of this border. That Germany is a destination of many international people that live nowadays in Berlin. That has 4 million people. So then that's why I wanted to get your perspective on this, and just the advices you share is just amazing for young people to because I really do think that passion and doing something that with love based on the experience and moments you experienced in the past is something that actually keeps you going. And it especially in difficult situations, like when you want to give up and then you think no, it's not, it's, I know that it's worth it, even though that you don't see it at that moment, but you have this desire or this hope, I would say, this belief that it's leading you to something. And you said it yourself, you cannot seeing it from here forward but only from here backwards. And then once you go through this, and then okay, now you maybe don't see, but in some time from now, actually it's gonna have meaning.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Moritz, for this. And just going back to needs, and if people want to find out more about your work, or they have some sources or some services that they want to share on your platform, how they can find you, how they can find needs or reach out to you.
Yeah, so you can find needs, of course, needs experiences through our website, which is needs.de. And we also have our Instagram account, which is Needs Experiences. And myself, you can find on LinkedIn, actually. I'm very active on LinkedIn by my name, Moritz Freise. And yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll put all these comments and your contact information in the show notes below this podcast episode. So if people want to reach out and get to know more about your work, they can do so. Directly clicking on the links below this video. Moritz, I must thank you for this amazing podcast episode, because my idea of this episode and your experience was actually shaping traveling and investing in ourselves through traveling and staying and living abroad, actually, that contributes to us as people and people we become. And I think you shared amazing advices and you shared the amazing experience, and it was really interesting to hear about that. And so thank you very much for this. And
thank you for inviting me. Yeah, it was very nice to talk about this topic. As you know, yeah, I'm really passionate about it, so I really like to find someone who's truly interested in it and just share knowledge and perspective. So thanks.
Thank you very much for that. Hvala i svima vama, poštovani gledalci, koji ste pratili ovu podcast epizodu u kojoj ste slušali zapravo kako putovanje utiče na investicije u nas samih i kako nam mogu zapravo okarakterisati ili označiti kako će se naš dalj tok života zapravo kretati. Ovo je ujedno i poslednja podcast epizoda u 2023. godini, te zato želim svima da poželim srećnu, lepu i uspešnu 2024. godinu. I ukoliko ste motivisani zapravo da ovim razgovorom ili putovanjem i studiranjem i životom u inostranstvu zapravo označite svoju 2024. godinu, onda vas pozivam da proverite online program Upiši master u inostranstvu koji možete pronaći u opisu ispod ovog videa. Puno pozdrava iz Berlina. Ćao!
Ciao.